guys and girls, and welcome to episode 83 of the FReality Podcast. This is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. You can tune into the show live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in central US. You can also check out the audio version, which is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and on Anchor. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and maybe leave us a nice review on iTunes. That would really help us out. Thanks to everyone that's joining us live in the chat. Hello to you all. We really appreciate you joining us live. If you've got any questions, comments, or feedback during the show, put them in the chat. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can. Now it's time for me to introduce you to the team. First up, I bet you didn't know that this guy is actually best friends with the Rick and Morty creator, Justin Roiland. It's Nathie. How you doing, man? You all right?
Yeah, dude, I'm fine. Yeah, I've been hanging out with Justin Roiland last week at PAX playing his new game, Trover Saves the Universe. I was also surprised I was friends with him in some way.
I was very, very jealous. I was very jealous you got to meet and hang out with him. That was so cool.
He's a cool guy. He's a cool guy. And he's not that, like, he can be funny, but he can also be serious. So that's something I found out.
Yeah. Well, next time maybe we should have him on the show as well, right? You can maybe just
maybe that would be great. I love that idea. Yeah, maybe.
Okay. So next up, this guy is the non-stop Energizer Bunny, always fully charged. There's no way you're going to be able to keep up with this guy. It's VR Twitch streamer Zimtok5. How you doing, man? You all right?
I've had a good week, but it's not often that I get on a pedestal, except for when Twitch deletes the virtual reality category. Then I'm going to do that. So thankfully, we still have. Shh! Don't tell Twitch. We still have the Oculus VR category, which predated the virtual reality category. So still have a place we can call our home. All the VR streamers on Twitch this week kind of picked up their pitchforks at this strange unannounced change, which we're still puzzled at, and hopefully Twitch will formally respond. We are waiting a memo.
Yeah, fingers crossed that gets sorted. It seems such a strange move for them to do something like that, especially with like VR booming right now. You know, it seems like a strange thing to do, right?
I'm just puzzled. They introduced this new tagging system, which actually, to be honest, works very well, which is like you can just throw a couple tags in, and discoverability was aided by that. That came in, I don't know, 5 months ago or something. And it looks like they're just trying to tidy house. But if they are, they're not doing a great job. And someone else told me that actually Giant Bomb, another site altogether, is who hosts the index that's used by Twitch. So it may not even be a Twitch change. I'm yet to investigate that further, but that's what I've been told anyway by the old internet. But yeah, it's an interesting week. Since the last show we had, holy cow, the amount of news. I am looking forward to this show.
For sure. Let me introduce you to our guest on this week's show. Wherever you go, wherever there's a line, there will always be a Voodoo right at the front of that line. It's our German brother, Thomas, a.k.a. Voodoo DE. Welcome back to the show, dude. How are you doing? You all right?
That was great standing in the first line again. Yeah, I'm fine, but I think I'm still a little bit tired from all this traveling stuff, PAX and GDC, and it will never stop. But it's awesome. It's awesome to try all this cool new stuff and play the newest games, and I really love that. So yes, I'm fine.
Good to hear. And you've had a bit of a crazier week than the rest of us, because you went to GDC, like you said, and then you was home for one day, and then you flew out to Boston to go to PAX.
Yeah, that's crazy because I had to work for one day, and it's just crazy.
Yeah, you're the real MVP. So Rowdy is away at the moment. He's getting prepared for a ceremony prior to him actually getting married. So if Rowdy's out there listening, best wishes from all of us. Hope everything's going well, and he should be back with us on the show next week if you're missing him. If you don't know who I am, my name is Mike. I'm host of the show from Virtual Reality Oasis. Bit of a crazy start to this week. As you can see, I'm on my phone. My internet decided to just have a meltdown about 5 minutes before the show started. But, you know, it wouldn't be an FReality podcast if we didn't have these things to try us. But, you know, we'll soldier on, get through it. We're here for you, as always, to deliver the freshest VR news. So in this week's show, we've got a busy one for you. Like Zim said, packed full of VR goodness. We're going to be talking about the Valve Index. Is this the headset that we've all been waiting for? Well, stay tuned to find out. Then we're going to gaze towards the stars as No Man's Sky is finally getting VR support, and we talk about what we know about it so far. Zim's going to give you the lowdown on the latest releases for next week, and then finally we'll discuss the news that Mario and Zelda will be coming to Nintendo Labo VR. So very exciting episode indeed. But of course, let's start the show off by finding out what everyone's been playing in the metaverse this week and their highlight of the week. Feel free to join in the chat, by the way. Let us know what you've been playing. We always love to know. But let's fire it over to Nathie first to see what he's been up to.
Well, I just came home and I'm sitting on my chair. I'm still wondering where I am because not long ago I was in Canada eating waffles with maple syrup in a beautiful place, a fairy tale. So I've been chilling so much in Canada after we went to PAX in Boston that's all I remember. It's weird. I could finally, sit down and not think about VR all the time and about all the, you need to know that my YouTube thing is my lifestyle and it's my hobby and it's my passion and it's my work. It's everything, So it's like you're breeding VR, you're breeding YouTube, and you wake up with YouTube. You're going to bed with VR. It's like this constant thing that never stops. So I've been, just sitting back and relax for a bit for like 2 days. It was like my first holiday in ages. But if we're talking about what I played, well, I mean, what you guys played basically, because we all played the same stuff at PAX. We had the opportunity to, for example, try out Vacation Simulator, Journey of the Gods, Beat Saber, this time on the Quest. Also, what else do we have, guys? Help me out. I'm trying to remember. Asgard.
There's one I was going to mention, which we'll talk a little bit about in the releases later. But I know you and I both got the hotel room demo of Falcon Age, which I'm excited to talk about later.
Yes, true. Yeah. But let's say I played a lot of stuff, and I'm sure we can share that same adventure we had in VR. If I could pick one, I would say Falcon Age for me was like a highlight of PAX of what I played. And I'm also very excited for the other stuff, because last episode we were only, of course, talking about the Quest and the Rift S, because I mean that was the hottest thing ever. The day after, the Valve Index dropped and it was getting even crazier. But at PAX, this is something I just want to highlight, is that PlayStation VR had a couple of really cool games again. They had Ghost Giant, they had Five Nights at Freddy's in VR. They also had Mars and Jupiter, because funny story, Golem, this game that has to be coming out for such a long time now, they had an issue, so they were disappearing out of nowhere on the show floor. So I don't know what's going on with Golem, but this game has some funny problems. So they replaced it with Mars and Jupiter.
I can tell you what happened there, Nathie, because I played it day one, and I think I'm the reason why I got pulled. Which is basically halfway through the demo, you've got this big old sword, and obviously people have been waiting to play this thing for ages, and now you've got the sword that just ends up hanging in the air, and then a battle that you're supposed to fight with that sword. So you're like looking at the sword, looking at the guy you're competing against, and you're like, what am I supposed to do now then? So I think after day one they pulled it, and they replaced it with a second Trover booth, I believe, which was good.
Okay. Yeah, so just some random stuff here of like what was kind of cool at PAX. But PlayStation VR had a great presence once again on the show floor. Yeah.
Awesome. And what about you then, Zim? Anything you want to share? What you've been up to since you've been home? You've had time to play any VR stuff?
I've had time to play. Yes, I've had some time to play a few things, and the main thing I got into was playing some contractors with the ForceTube, which is a fucking awesome piece of kit, I gotta say. I had my first go with the ForceTube properly last night. Did 3 hours. That didn't work. Did 3 hours with that, half on Rift and half on Vive, and I kind of it was fun to do the two sides, but the thing I have to say about it, I didn't realize that actually the ForceTube and Scottish Sheep share this commonality, which is the further you push at it, it pushes back. You know what I mean? Like, it really, really gives a good kick into your shoulder, but only if you're making a good connection, because otherwise it's just kind of a light tap. And initially I was like, this thing's making more noise than it's actually touching me. But then later, man, you're plugging enemies and it feels freaking badass. Like, taking a sniper shot, even though I'm a bit slower, and towards the end of the night, like, my back muscles started to go, because, you know, you're holding this thing out like a gun, and it feels like a gun, especially with the Vive. The Vive is like that bit bigger, you know? And with the bipod and everything at the end of it, it's not like heavy, but when you're doing that for 3 hours, like, there's muscles in your back that go, I wasn't used ever before. And so I had a blast. It was really good.
Yeah, I totally agree about, like, you really need to, like, dig it into your shoulder to get the best out of it. But how do you feel about the accessory on the whole? Like, you is it gets a thumbs up from you?
Yeah, honestly, having although you know, the Onward and Force, the ProTube guys supplied it sans any instructions, and I know that's not the way it's going to ship. Without that, once you know kind of what to do and it's set up and all that, and it took me a couple of hours to kind of get the setup. Once you know what to do setup wise, it's actually easy. It's 5-minute job, you know, Bluetooth connection, sync up, and launch a special version of the game. It's really easy. I suppose the question is it worth the money? So if you play Onward, like, if you love FPSs, if you were like a Counter-Strike nut or whatever, and you play Onward or Contractors or any of the other supported games, because there's a small list, if you're willing to spend 270 quid for kind of a proper tactile experience, I can tell you that is some bloody good fun. So it does pass the grade for me. You know, I'm big into tactile stuff like Subpack and stuff like that. And if the big question is if you are a player of Onward or Contractors or really like those games, if you really dig them, this is like a necessary peripheral, I'd say. It's just, it changes when you're actually holding the gun. It really changes the game. And the one thing I would say, because it was my main holdback point initially when I saw this, I was like, you know, it's going to be freaking cumbersome. It's going to be bloody cumbersome to change these things out and like move them around mid-game and stuff. But once you get used to it and you get accustomed to that, like grabbing something from your belt, adjusting the gun, it really only takes like half a second to a second, and then what it gives you is just fantastic. So actually, I thought I was going to not like it. It gets a thumbs up.
Yeah.
So
go for it, Nathie. Go for it.
So someone in the chat, GamerTag VR, says, I just joined your podcast and Zim looks mad. Well, sometimes Sim likes to role play as Rambo and set booby traps in his house and try to trap people. So it's just a thing he does sometimes, you know.
Exactly. There's no
Makes me feel
holding
more
back.
man. That's it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm glad you had a good time with it. Absolutely. I think the Kickstarter is almost ending soon, so if you're interested in getting one, now's the time. But let's kick it over to Thomas and find out what you've been playing this week, dude, and what you want to share with us.
Yeah, when we talk about this ProTube thing, I had a cool experience at the GDC with this big Striker VR gun. Do you know this?
I saw the picture of you holding it.
Holy crap! This was amazing. It's ultra expensive, but you really feel the force. It pushes your whole body back if you shoot like a rocket launcher or something like that. This was amazing. It was the coolest VR equipment I ever tried, but it's so expensive. And I think there's only one game. I think it's only Arizona Sunshine that's supported for now. I'm not sure. So this is nothing for buying for now, but yeah, it was cool. Yeah, that was what I tried at GDC. And what did I play? I played a Ghost Giant, and that was really cool. Because I'm not the fan of all these wave shooters, shooting. I want to have some different games, not always these wave shooters. So this is a quiet game. It's like an interactive movie, a very interactive movie, and I really love this. The atmosphere is great, the graphics are really cool, and yeah, that was the first game I tried, and the second was Skyworld Kingdom Brawl. So this is the real-time strategy game where you you have to fight your enemy and push cards on this round place where the units are attacking each other, and that was pretty cool as well. I had a lot of fun with that. It's very fast. You have to use the cards very fast, and you have mana that it's reloading, and then you can throw fireballs and stuff, and that was really good. I can recommend these board games. Yeah.
Nice.
What was the second game again, Thomas? That you said?
Skyworld Kingdom Brawl.
I think it's from Vertigo Games.
That's from
I think
Vertigo Games,
they made one before, right? And now they're trying to reboot it and hope for the best, because the first one didn't sell that well. Yeah. But this one might.
I was gonna say, is it different to that kind of round table strategy game? It's more of a card game then, is it?
It's a card game now. It's a real-time card game. So you throw the cards on the battlefield, and the units appear and fight the enemy. It's cool.
They spiced it up basically. That's what they did. They now made a card game out of a real-time strategy title. Also, someone wants to know, Voodoo, how many headsets is too many?
I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. But
a lot is an understatement, actually.
Yeah. I'm a hardware tester. I'm testing all this stuff for the community, so I need to have this. And this is my little museum here.
Frankly, for our audio listeners, just imagine a stack of 5 Pimaxes tall, and then to the left of that, about 700 other headsets. Is that about right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Exactly. So, like, I actually played this Skyworld game as well. I checked it out this week alongside Bow of Blood, which is another game that recently released on the Oculus Store. I wasn't a fan of either of them, really. Neither of them sort of gripped me. I had tried Skyworld before they tried to sort of reboot it with this new, fresh sort of go at the game. But I just found it to be a bit, I don't know, boring, I guess. I still think in the world of RTS in VR, like, Brass Tactics is still the king of those games. It had a decent story, it had good voice acting. You could really walk around, like, move around the map. Yeah, whereas with Skyward, you're kind of confined to the edges of this kind of round table. So yeah, I didn't enjoy it so much.
That's
but then
I'm
again,
getting confused though, Mike. The thing that you're talking about, is that the same thing that Voodoo just described?
Yeah, it's the
I
same
think
game.
so. Yeah. But also, I don't think it's the best real-time strategy. I played a Final Assault, and that was even much better than this. That's right. Yeah.
But other than those two games, all I've really played this week, because like you guys, I got back from PAX, I was completely fried. Took me like 2 days to recover from that. But I have been playing Space Junkies a fair bit. That's the sort of one game that keeps on dragging me back, because I think there's just something about the gameplay that is very rewarding, very satisfying. A bit like all the popular first-person shooters that are not in VR. You constantly have that satisfaction that you're sort of leveling up, or you're unlocking different skins and stuff like that. So that's what I really like about Space Junkies. So I think I'm going to be continuing to play this one for a while.
Although you do want to play Space Junkies wireless, because my cable went completely haywire. After 2 rounds, I was like, well, I can't play more because I'm constantly turning around. It's not a front-facing standing title. No, it's like you constantly spinning around like a madman. So just saying.
Yeah. Totally agreed. And I think, had I still been using the TP cast, that would have been really great for this game. But for those of you that don't know, I ended up ditching the TP cast purely for streaming and recording reasons, because it introduced a little bit of latency in my workflow.
Yeah, exactly.
I think for the casual user, though, it's still a solid piece of hardware.
Yeah, it's great. No, it's great. It's the same for the one from Vive, with the collaboration with Intel. It's the same story. It works. It's good.
Yeah. It's funny that you guys mentioned that about Space Junkies, because I am not a person who generally gets tangled, but I feel like it's the Top Gun of VR. Like, you're all the time checking your 6, because there's stuff coming at you from all over, and it's a fast-paced game. So for anyone who's like, nah, really? Yeah, really. It's going to twist you up.
Yeah, I think Space Junkies as well, like, one of the biggest concerns from the community generally was the price, because I think it's on the higher end of the spectrum, about £39, which works out about $49. But I think it's one of those games that's going to continually get supported over the next year or so. You're going to see big sort of Space Junkies tournaments coming up at big events. Yeah. And in terms of just quality of like hand presence and that visceral shooting, action-packed combat, yeah, it's great. It's really great. So yeah, that's what we played. Let us know if you've got any good suggestions in the chat whilst we sort of move quickly into...
we have one for you. I reckon Mike is naked from the waist down. That's why he's so zoomed in. Maybe you should put on some clothes.
That's how I do the show every week. So if you're familiar, that's standard for me. You don't want me to stand up right now, put it that way.
Okay. Well, you're very, people feel like in the chat a very personal connection with you since you're so close to the camera. It becomes more cozy now. This is a more cozy podcast because our host is so, in your face.
Exactly. Well, the thing is, you've got two choices. You can basically have me up close like you have me now, and you can hear me, or I zoom it out and then you won't be able to hear me. So there's two evils there. Choose the one that you want the most.
Fair enough. Well, that's a suggestion for you, basically, because you were asking for it. So
yeah. But basically, my internet died minutes before the show. Hopefully, we can get it fixed for next week. But let's dive into some quick news then. And first up in the quick news is some Beat Saber news. Because as you know, if you follow the show, we reported a couple of weeks back that the Monster Cat DLC had dropped and had loads of new tracks. It's a paid DLC track, but in my opinion, it's worth it. The new tracks are really, really great. But with all these updates, it always tends to break something, and it broke the mod support and custom track support. This happens all the time that Beat Saber gets updated because obviously they don't officially support these mods, and it's a bit of a cat and mouse game with modders and Beat Games updating the game. But basically, to give you a bit of information about what's going on behind the scenes, the Mod Saber team, who basically made this really useful installer called the Mod Installer, are no longer going to be working on Mod Saber due to the sort of lead dev on it being sort of having health issues and basically wants to take a step away from it. He's basically passed the flame onto the Beat Saber modding group Discord, who hopefully will be making a new version of the installer. So the benefit of the installer was that you could just press a couple of things and it would install all your mods automatically. And now at the moment you can install them, but you have to do it manually. If you're interested to know how to do it because you're stuck, we've put a link in the description down below to a wiki that gives you a step-by-step guide. It is fairly straightforward, but just not as simple as before with this mod installer. But the other big news, obviously, from Beat Saber this week was that we finally got some Crab Rave action. They finally dropped the track after the overwhelming response from the community that they want it. So if you really dig in some Monster Cat Crab Rave, then you're going to be very happy with this one. It's got some really cool extras in it. They changed the lightsabers to green and blue. So you can really get your crab on. It's a shame they didn't have crab pincers. That's that's what I was hoping for.
We're playing the video right now, but you don't know how the song goes. So let me just quickly. That's how it goes. I mean, everyone knows it. It's also a meme song in a way. Hopefully, this mod community, on Discord, will also be able to find a way to get Beat Saber on the Quest mod-wise. I think there are some streaming capabilities that might work in that sense. I don't know. We'll see. I'm sorry that I'm trying to hype everyone up right now, but I feel like it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I have to say, anytime I talk about Beat Saber and the Quest, there's always so many comments about custom tracks on the Quest, and will it be possible? And it's going to be a difficult one, I think, for the modding community. But if they can crack it and get it working, with Mod Saver, so you can just download custom tracks straight to the headset, then that's going to be great. But of course, I would say it's unlikely right now, but I'm happy to be surprised if it works.
I don't know what any of these lads are saying. I'm so crab distracted.
You're just watching it. You're hypnotized. Yeah. I
love it. I can't even hear the music, but in my head it's playing. You know what I mean? That's the thing is, Crab Rave for the last 2 weeks, my family has made a nightly thing, and so me and the kids and the wife are all just doing the whole crab thing. It's freaking amazing. It's so good. It's that it's that good a song. But I actually played all the difficulties on it, and I thought they did a really good job. The only thing that was missing, as you mentioned, was a little bit of tie back to the whole crab thing. I would have loved to see maybe the Monster Cat logo replaced with a crab neon sign or something like that. Just something, one thing to kind of tie it back to the
crab
whole
hands
kind of meme culture behind the song. Yeah, that might have been a performance problem, but otherwise, just something light to. And did they change? Am I making this up? Did they change? Blue used to be on the other side, and then they fecked with it? Because my brain was going a bit nuts with that.
I'm not sure if they changed the side, but they did change one of them to green, the red one to green.
So
yeah.
I'll have to look that up now.
if you're interested where it is, it's just in extras. It's not under the Monster Cat DLC. It's in extras under the other free tracks. So you can go check that out if you want to play it. So
I was expecting it to be paid, actually, but it wasn't. So I was surprised by that.
Always happy to have free tracks from the official Beat Saber team. So let's move on to Iron Man in VR, because last week during PlayStation's State of Play, which is like basically their like Nintendo Direct, they basically ripped off Nintendo Direct. But I'm happy we get regular news from PlayStation anyway, so props to them. But they had loads of PSVR news in this State of Play, which was excellent. They had No Man's Sky, which we're going to be talking about very shortly. Five Nights at Freddy's, which we mentioned previously on an episode of the show. Zim got to try it out at PAX. And then, of course, Iron Man VR. Now, this Iron Man VR game is going to be exclusive to PlayStation VR. It's being developed by Camouflage, who are the same developers behind the Oculus Go and Gear VR title Republic VR. Don't know if any of you guys checked that game out.
Oh yeah, I'm about a fourth through it. It's an incredible game. It's actually I would almost say that it's probably the best Go title. It feels like you're playing Solid Snake in like a Metal Gear Solid title, and you reach the end of the first segment. I was like, oh shit, no, it's not over, is it? Because there's so many games that are episodic, and you play the first episode and there's nothing left. You play Republic, you get to the first stopping point, they roll credits, and you're like, oh, it's done. And then there's 4 other segments. It's amazing. I can't believe the detail and the gameplay in it. It is so good, and they give a lovely ode to other developers. So other developers are called out in there in a way that's really nice, like sharing a room and all these different things. You collect these little bits and pieces, so it feels really like a big warm hug to the rest of the VR community.
Yeah, I can confirm this is for me. It's also the best Go game I've ever played. It's awesome. You should really try it if you have to go.
Interesting. I haven't tried it out. I've been aware of it, but I haven't tried it out. But it's cool that they've made some really quality titles, because obviously they're developing this Iron Man VR experience, and apparently this Iron Man experience has been developed in development for almost 2 years. So it's going to be interesting to see how much content will be packed into this game. The premise is that you actually get to play as Tony Stark himself. The story is going to be completely standalone from anything that's going on in the Marvel universe right now. It'll basically have you flying around, shooting, punching in this action-packed adventure where you have to confront the ghosts of Tony's past that have come to haunt him. So stuff that he's been involved in the past is sort of creeping up on him. In the trailer, it kind of looks a bit arcadey, but I'm still pretty excited to check this one out.
Well, as long as the Sony studio doesn't make the game, we're fine. The ones that made the Spider-Man experience. So I'm down. I'm down for this title. It's funny that I was watching a few videos on YouTube of people responding to the live stream of them announcing it, and there were so many of these pancake gamers that were like, "Yeah, I don't have a PlayStation VR now. Like, I wanted this on my my monitor." I'm like, "Haha, well, we're finally getting to this point where people get frustrated because the VR people get more awesome games than the other way around." Yeah. Well, get yourself a VR headset, I would say, and try it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And although like with the flying around and stuff like that, I said it looked a bit arcadey. From what we know, playing Megaton Rainfall, flying around is a really fun thing to do in VR. So I'm looking forward to it, but I'm a little bit skeptical right now. But you can kind of, when you see this game come out, you then understand. Now I understand why Iron Man wasn't in Marvel Powers United. He was never in that game, which is a shame.
It's got its own segment. The really weird thing I'm finding is just timing. Like the amount of titles across PCVR and PlayStation VR now, just landing right now in Q2 2019. Like, why is this the segment of the year that they've all targeted? There's a ton of things landing, and it's like, it's a good thing. And it also means we have to be a little bit choosy, I think, in terms of what we get to play.
Yeah. On the other side, though, for PlayStation VR, they always launch new titles almost every month. So for PC, it's maybe important to now catch up with PlayStation in that sense and kind of try to sell your games now. But for PSVR users, they get new games almost every month, and it's good to hear that they give developers so much time to cook up a project. That means that there are way more games that have been worked on for 2 years now that will release maybe in the summer or in winter. Or so PlayStation VR is constantly asking developers to, hey, listen, make a game, don't tell anyone, and we're gonna release it at a certain moment and then hype it up. And that's what I see a lot with PlayStation VR. You usually don't hear developers work on something. They don't spoiler anything. They just go for the moment and then launch it. And I think sometimes that's the best way to go, because it doesn't hurt what people think about your game. It's like, it's out and this is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the two games that I'm most excited about in the coming weeks, before obviously we know, because we still don't know when Stormland and Defector and Asgard's Wrath are coming. So the ones I'm most excited about in the imminent future are Ghost Giant, which Voodoo mentioned earlier on the PSVR, and also Falcon Age. I'm really glad I didn't get to try that game out at PAX because it looked incredible.
No, you're not going to miss it for very long, Mike. I mean, we got days left, right? So I'll talk about that one in the releases. But also, Ghost Giant is the 16th of April, so we'll probably be talking about it next week in the releases as well.
A lot of cool stuff is coming up. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and even cooler, and this was the big bombshell, of course, of the big PlayStation State of Play, was that No Man's Sky is going to be getting VR support on the PSVR and PCVR headsets, and this is going to be in a big update to the game. The update is going to be called Beyond, and it's going to be launching in summer 2019. The most amazing thing about this, though, is that if you already own the game, you're going to get this update for free, which is just amazing. Like the amount of work and effort they must have put into this to get VR support added to it, and yet they're giving it away for free.
That's great. That's great, and a lot of people bought it for such a cheap price, because I'm sure you all remember what happened at E3 and before that. I mean, they were hyping a game up that wasn't finished at all, and I gotta say they redeemed themselves for sure, not only with this VR mode, but just in general with all the updates, and they have been polishing it up. I think a lot of people already owned it for such a cheap price because they had to, put it on sale back then. And still, I don't think it's that expensive. How much is it nowadays on Steam?
25 now, I think, or something like that.
2025?
I think it's gone back up to the full retail price.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. It was, like you say, it was on sale recently for as low as £20, I think, but I think it's now back up to 40. I did check earlier on. But the thing is, like, I don't really know much about No Man's Sky. Like, I've never played the game before. I don't know if any of you guys have played it before.
Yeah, a lot of. I made a lot of gameplays on my channel, as it was not only a VR channel, and I was one of the few guys that loved it from the beginning, even though there were a lot of bugs and stuff. But I'm really a big fan of these exploring games, and I'm totally hyped about that. I can't wait to play this in VR, to be honest.
So Voodoo, someone is asking if it has like HOTAS support. HOTAS.
I have no idea. I don't know. I know that the controllers are supported, but I have no idea if that HOTAS is support. I don't know. No.
From what I've seen of the gameplay, though, it looks like from one moment you're controlling your ship, like with the throttle and stick, and then one moment you're driving a car, and then 1 minute you're on foot. So I don't know if swapping between accessories is going to be a wise choice, or they're even going to support it. But
it looks more fluid than Elite Dangerous, though. I mean, for the only other comparable game where you can drive and fly and land and walk, well, not really, not yet, but it does look like a smoother experience. I'm curious, how did they do the transitions in the 2D rendition of the game? Was it just a blink? Did you blink from being, now I'm flying, now I'm driving a car on the planet? Like, how did that work, Thomas?
Oh, I'm not sure. It's a long time ago, but I think you have to click a button. I think it was Q, and there was a little wheel, and then you were beamed inside this vehicle. And and now I think it works like you point with your controller to the ship, and then you pull it to yourself, and then you land in the cockpit. I think that's how you enter a vehicle.
Awesome.
And you can also change between a free locomotion and teleport. I read this today, I think. Should be fine for all the people that experience motion sickness. But I'm like curious about how that works when you drive a car, drive a vehicle. That could perhaps cause some motion sickness. I'm not sure.
Also on PC, excited. Is it?
Yeah, go on, Nathie. You're fine.
Yeah. So on PC, will it support Rift, Vive,
Yes.
mixed reality.
No,
so
the only thing that's not confirmed is Windows Mixed Reality. They will support Vive and Rift, but in 99% of all cases, Windows Mixed Reality and Pimax and all this stuff works also. So I won't care about that.
Okay.
This will work on all headsets, I'm sure.
Yeah. So we've got a quick statement from Hello Games, and they said that we are in love with everything sci-fi. Virtual reality feels like a science fiction become real and has always seemed like the perfect fit for this futuristic game of ours. It's completely unique to land on a world that no one else has ever seen before and to really feel as if you're there. The team has worked so hard to make this a true VR experience rather than a port. You can grab your joystick and thruster to fly your starship over an unexplored alien planet as you peer out of the cockpit at the view below. Reach into your backpack to grab your multi-tool, touch it to switch to terrain manipulation, and carve out intricate shapes with unprecedented control. Play in multiplayer and casually wave to your non-VR friends or fist bump your PSVR peers. So, very, very cool.
Sweet.
Very cool.
But the multiplayer aspect... I was going to say the multiplayer aspect of this is exactly what I've been pining for with Subnautica, which is kind of a similarly flavored exploration game.
Yeah.
Again, I've played for years Minecraft, you guys know that, and actually I'm the kind of guy who doesn't just sit there and build a house. I generally just go a-walking, and that's where I get my fun, go down a cave or whatever. So this is yet another game that, and I've shared this with a number of other people who I know who also haven't played No Man's Sky, either not very much or not at all like me. I'm so glad that I didn't play Skyrim ever before. I'm so glad that I haven't played No Man's Sky yet. There is this absenteeism or abstaining from particular 2D titles that's I'm just not going to touch that because that looks like that might get VRified. But I'll be honest, I didn't think that this was ever going to come out with VR support. It is, as you said, Mike, it is a whole hog of work. I'm ultra surprised at this announcement, and the fact that they've said it's full board. In other words, you get everything the other players are getting, and they've yet to unveil a couple of secrets that still are coming in this release. And that to me is what more could there be? Is there going to be hats? Because if there's going to be hats, then I'm just going to lose it.
Wait, I know it. It's going to be Nintendo Labo VR support. Then you can build your submarine out of cardboard.
So one thing I just wanted to add is that obviously they're bringing the full VR support for free, and to the millions of players that already play the game, it means that No Man's Sky will perhaps be the most owned VR title when it's released, because obviously all the people that own it already on Steam already own it on PlayStation.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, kinda, yeah,
exactly.
Sure.
Yeah. So
Isn't that what they did with Avatar?
About this one there in the chat, are they excited about this one?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they are. They are very excited. Someone is like, "Oh, I'm gonna play it with my Valve Index soon."
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're going to be talking about the Index shortly. So let's quickly move on then to the last bit of quick news this week, and that is that Orbus VR Reborn is coming to the Oculus Quest. This is really awesome. We got to hear about this last week. We didn't get to play it, obviously, at PAX, unfortunately. There was only a few demos. But those that are interested in the Oculus Quest and love MMOs will be really happy with this, I think. Because if you're not familiar with Orbus VR, it's one of the first fully realized fantasy MMO RPGs designed exclusively for room-scale virtual reality setups. And it's got everything you could love and want in an MMO, a huge open world, loads of quests, dungeons, pets, raids, voice chat, player trading, everything you need is in this game. And this whole Reborn sort of update is the first big expansion to the game. There's obviously been available on PC for a while now, but obviously that in the future, Quest and PC players will be able to play together and go on adventures together, which is amazing.
What a surprise.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other really cool thing is the developers are enabling cross-buy. So if you've already bought it on Rift, you'll get it for free on Quest.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, so to clear this up once again, it's like a decision a developer can possibly make. So if they want to, they can sell their game on Quest, but charge you again. Or they can be like, hey, if you own this game on Rift, we give it to you for free. Yeah. Right? So it's not that every game will...
Yeah, but Oculus said the most of the games, like 90%, will be like that. So I think that's fine.
Does this make a really weird secondary market, though? Because, like, are you going to be then hunting two different stores and be like, oh, is it cheaper on Quest now? Now I can buy it and get it feathered across the PC? Or is it unidirectional and it's only if you own it on PC that you then get it on Quest? Does anyone know?
I'd imagine the prices will be the same on the both platforms. Otherwise,
I
like you said,
so.
That would cause that exact problem. But in terms of this game, the original Orbus game is currently offline right now. They've taken the whole game offline because of all the work that's being done to bring this new Reborn update to players. It's going to be launching on the 23rd of April for PC, and then of course whenever the Quest launches, which we still don't know yet, spring 2019. That spring 2019 is going to be imprinted on our brains forevermore. But yeah, I think this is awesome, especially for fans of MMOs. It's not really my bag, but keen to try it out. But I really like the fact that there is going to be something for everyone in this Quest lineup of games.
Yeah.
And the spellcasting in that game is the thing that I've probably found the most astonishing. You're actually forced to learn the physical motion of drawing your wand. If you didn't want to be Harry Potter, then don't try to be a wizard in Orbus, because you really feel like Harry Potter when you're like trying to cast a fireball, But it works really well, and the nifty thing is, if you learn a spell that's very complicated, a very complicated physical interaction, if you start a new character, straight off the bat, if you know that physical spell and you've mastered it, you're able to draw it, you're able to cast it.
Oh, wow.
Which is I've not heard of that in
cool.
any other game like that.
I like that.
It's like, you've got the skill, buddy. We can tell you're not a noob.
I think what I like the most about this announcement is that we're going to see more cross-platform, and I think standalone will be a bigger player base in the long run. Of course, we don't know how many Rifts have been sold, so it's kind of a mysterious thing, but I feel like the Quest can take over very quickly, and soon we're going to have this standalone community that joins with. It's the same at Rec Room, where it's like, hey, I play with PlayStation VR people, and you don't even notice it anymore. It's like we're all playing the same thing, and it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Did any of you guys get into World of Warcraft or any sort of MMOs like that before?
Yeah, Orbus VR.
Oh, you got into Orbus previously? Yeah,
I played a lot of hours, and there is no other choice. There's no other VR MMO as far as I know, but so you have to play it. It's cool, but the graphics are so bad, so this is a big problem of this game. But there will be this Reborn update soon, and then it will be much better. So I hope this then. But
the raids were awesome. I mean, like Thomas, I played it at the inception.
That's right. That's correct.
Like when you group with a crew of other players, and you're taking down you're walking through like a demon gate type thing that's it feels like 3 stories tall, and then you go through and there's some massive rock guardian thing, and you're dropping stalactites on his head, or stalagmite. I'm not sure which was the right one. Geologists are going to jump on me now for the first time ever. But no, that feeling of grouping together with a community is fantastic. And one of the things I said about Orbus maybe a year and a quarter ago when this all started was it was probably the friendliest, most welcoming group of online players that I've come across. People were going out of their way to help you out, and not just to kind of tell you what to do, but to hang with you and just play. It was great. Really, really good.
Also, I think the style of the game is cartoony, so don't expect super real stuff. Although, of course, you can also improve in that sense. Matt Bargman says, by the way, if you're a wizard in VR, you're a wizard in real life. That's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
So between Orbus and No Man's Sky, Thomas, your life is pretty much dedicated to just VR then, right?
That's right. There will be a lot of hours I will spend in these 2 games. Oh my god. Oh my god.
I love it. So before we pass it over to Zim for the releases, I just want to say thank you to the sponsor of this episode of the FReality Podcast, which is, of course, Onward, our ongoing sponsor. Onward, if you're not familiar with the game, is an excellent tactical military first-person shooter in virtual reality. It's the game of choice for competitive tactical gamers who love to squad up in teams of 5v5 for online competitive play. Or if you want to be a complete lone wolf, there are some great single-player skirmishes to play too. With a huge update coming soon, bringing loads of new and exciting features, now is a great time to jump into the game, get some practice in so you're not completely noobs when this update launches. Check out Onward now on Steam VR or the Oculus Store.
Boom, there you go.
Onward,
and I will
cool.
add to that again, just another quick addition there, because of the Kickstarter with the ProTube and the ForceTube. I really do think that, you know, in the next week, if you're an FPS player, if you like Onward and you like these FPSs, which are great and scratch an amazing itch, and as a mill simmer for a long time, a big fan of Arma and things like that, there's nothing like being in the game, and to be able to feel, you know, with every other tactile product that I've had, never been able to feel the gun, and being able to feel the gun's pretty cool. For 270 quid, not bad. And if I was that, like, you can either choose between you know, the 270 quid dev edition that we have with like the rechargeable batteries, or wait for December. And sorry, you get that dev kit like next month. It's May that it's meant to be delivering, or you wait till December to get the full production thing, which I think they've actually sold out of at this stage on the Kickstarter, even though they've not met their goal. So it's interesting. You know, look at it if you're interested. But now, time for releases, I suppose, Mike. My favorite time of my favorite part
Mine
of the
as
show.
well. Personally.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna love this one, Nathie. I've lined up a very special fourth and primer for this week's show. So I thought, you know, given you guys know already that I've got Falcon Age in there, I dug through the depths of Steam to find the likely seediest title that I've seen, and perhaps the the most reprehensible developed VR title that I've ever come across. I will show you a video of this. This is lovely. Thankfully, it is able to be shown. It's not too terrible what they show. Mike's already sweating, going, what's he putting up? What's he putting up? God damn! It's a game called Money Bath VR, and this is going to be a fun one to see. So it's called Money Bath VR, and obviously comes out of China or Japan. I saw some characters that I couldn't recognize, which seems to be half of these titles. So there are studios out there absolutely dedicated to this kind of thing. And I'm gonna roll the trailer here for you while I tell you a little bit about this particular gem. I can't wait to show this for you guys. So because you really have to see this. So this is where the audio listeners are going to lose out. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you a little bit. So if you don't have a lot of money or girls, but you wish you did, then this is the game for you. Okay? This is, as they say, a dream app that allows you to experience a money bath with VR. And in addition, the life of a millionaire is fully reproduced, because this is exactly what every millionaire does in their pastime. You can throw cash at girls, swim in a bathtub full of money, and pay women to run on a treadmill, meanwhile collecting a couple of cute animals at the same time. And the developers describe the content of this like mild nude or sexual content, but all characters appearing in this game are over 18 years of age. I can't think I've come across a sleazier title having the money and all this together. So anyway, I thought I'd start off with that because it's, as I said, it's deplorable. And to every developer out there who were not featuring in that spot, I do apologize, but I'm trying to top the Tower of Pizza, or whatever that title was called. So I'm trying my hardest.
Temple of
Pizza. My
VR.
God.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are your guys' reactions to a title like that?
This is what we need. Definitely.
Okay, so according to Voodoo, this will make VR mainstream?
Yeah, definitely, of course. Everybody will buy the Quest and only play this one.
Voodoo's going to spend more time in this game than he's going to spend in No Man's Sky.
Yeah, that's right. It has open world, I think.
I'm so puzzled. I'm so puzzled. There's so many of these games. And I this is the one that I thought, you know, at least it's not just doing the same thing all the rest are doing. I mean, I've never swum in a bath full of money, but at the same time, for £4, now you can. So there you go. That was the first one. Jump on to the next title. Bow to Blood. Actually, Mike already talked about this one and had some dissenting opinions about it. So I will go ahead and give you my unbiased take on Bow to Blood. So I'm glad they have it subtitled as Last Captain Standing, because that's essentially what it is, as a PCVR and PSVR title. The PSVR title actually launched back in August last year, but now coming to PC for about £16, so I think around the price of $18 US. This launched on April 3rd, so just a few days ago. You take the disguise as a captain of a powerful airship and discover a fantastical world of airborne gladiatorial sci-fi. Now, that's not a series of adjectives I've heard before together. They talk about some randomized content, and you compete to become this champion of the arena. Now, the trailer certainly seems enticing, with all these swarming assault ships and things going on. I was certainly intrigued seeing this, and I think one of our buddies, PD, was talking well about this game. So, Mike, you're maybe the only one who's actually played it, and I'm really curious on your thoughts having played it, and what that was like for you. Like, what was the introduction to the game? What are the things you did or didn't like about it? I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
So basically, you're like a captain of this ship in the center of this big sort of floating barge. Basically, you've got two crewmates that you can move around to different stations that do different things, and then the whole premise of the game is that you fly around an arena and take down other ships, other captains. You can pull out a pistol to shoot some bits and pieces yourself, or you can control the cannons with your touch controllers by aiming them and just pulling the trigger. But for me, I can't say that I played it for that long. I only played it for maybe 10-15 minutes. But I just knew straight away that I just wasn't digging this one at all. I don't know what it was particularly about it that I didn't like about it. It's just like it just didn't grip me or hook me and made me think, oh yeah, this is something I really want to do. So I kind of just dropped it after that sort of small introduction and thought I'd seen enough.
It sounds a bit familiar, like that steampunk title where you were flying in a blimp where people had to repair it. It was like an online multiplayer.
Yeah, so it's a bit like Hover Junkers, but you've got like a bigger junker basically that you need to manage your crew on at the same time as well.
But is it an online game, or is this like a single player? You're playing against
online
bots?
As well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, interesting. Very good. Okay, thank you. Two more to go. So the next one I'm going to feature here is a game called Beat Blaster, which to me, looking at the thing, if Audica and Beat Saber don't give you enough visual noise, then here's an extra level of crazy to throw at you while you're playing a Beat game. It looks quite visually intense as you're running down corridors and blasting. And I'll just state a little bit about the game. This thing is 16 quid, and it's available PSVR and PCVR as well by Ivanovich Games. Came out April 5th, so again, very recently. Player must master the art of shooting, running, and dodging obstacles and enemies. An original mix with each level offering a new challenge. But to me, I suppose, looking at this from the outside, again, I go back to, is this a sensory overload? Looks a bit mad. I mean, and playing Audica standing still is enough, and this seems like running and dodging on top of that seems like it might be a little bit too much. Not having played it yet, I don't know if any of you guys have.
I'm too old for this, I can promise.
But does it have pop sticks, you bard?
That is at the moment unconfirmed.
Okay. Oh, then I will wait.
So happy. I am so happy to be able to transition into a game that I feel wholeheartedly is going to soar and is going to do an incredible job. From the taster that I had about 25 minutes playing this game, Eka, who demoed the game, I think both to me and Nathie, back at PAX. This is a game that almost needs no introduction. I think similar to what we were saying earlier, a game we maybe didn't hear much about except for a couple of months ago, but has been in development for the best part of 2 years. This is Falcon Age. So Falcon Age is a first-person, single-player action-adventure game lasting roughly 6 hours of kind of open or semi-open world gameplay, where you learn to hunt, gather, and fight to reclaim your cultural legacy with a buddy. And this buddy you've got is a falcon that you see grow from being a kind of a baby falcon up to a full-size falcon. And I must say, the game, although on the outskirts of it, I would have kind of looked at it and said Nintendogs, when you start to play it and you have robots stabbing hypodermic needles in your face, or your bunny brings back a little bunny-shaped steak that it just tore out of a bunny rabbit. This is nothing about that at all. So I'm very excited for Falcon Age. I felt it played a little bit, it reminded me a lot, because of the movement system of Skyrim, very easy to move through this world even on PSVR. And I found the adorable little death machine that was perched on my arm to be a lovely companion. So there haven't been that many games with proper companions. You mentioned Orbus had a little dragon you could have, and you could stroke its back and it would kind of like purr at you and stuff. This is similar. So the Falcon on your arm does react to you, and I found it to be very, very interesting. So, Nathie, you got a good chunk of playtime with this as well. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I think it's beautiful that that they went for a story about colonization, because that's something like most games go for this, fun story, blah blah blah, and this is really something that happens in parts of the world where you live at a nice piece of land, and then suddenly someone else is taking it over and puts you in prison. I mean, it happened in the past, right? So it's telling that story. And I think that's great. So it's also like an educational thing in some way. But yeah, having this bird as like a companion and being able to work together is awesome. It's not like you're sending your bird away to do stuff for you, but in the meanwhile, you also have to do your own stuff. So it's like constantly working together. It's like a next level pet simulator where it's like you hunt together, you fight together, you gather together. You have this farm where you can grow stuff for your bird, and there are so many things you can unlock in terms of items. For example, the bird can wear different hats, but it's not just a cosmetic thing. It also gives you, for example, a boost in stealth, or it gives you different stats than you had before. Like I was wearing this kind of like ninja slim helmet on the bird, and then we could, for example, get past the turret that would not recognize us anymore because we were wearing the stealth armor. So there are different things you can do, and based on where you are, you can just change up your outfits in your favor. And it's a big world too. I mean, you play in this open world where there is so much to explore, there's so much to see, so much to do. It's very, very impressive. And Eka told me, he's like the creative director and also the co-founder of Outer Loop Games. He told me that their team isn't very, very big, and that they were super happy to work together with Sony and being able to, pull something off like this and make something unique in the lineup of games that have already been out there. And that's what I hear from every developer I met so far who works with Sony. They're always very, very fond of working together with them.
Okay.
And I think that's great. If you're a small studio and you get this opportunity to make a game and work on this for a while, because this is not something they made in like 6 months. No, this is something they have been, cooking up for a while. I think that's great. And also being able to tell, again, this story about colonization and Sony supporting this, supporting different stories of,
I was going to say, to add to that, because you mentioned about the world size and all that, it's a pretty big map, actually, in the end of it. And it kind of felt like almost Borderlands style in terms of the way that map is portrayed. Yeah. You do have a map in the game. But one of the things that I really liked game design choice-wise is that other than being limited because of your abilities from certain areas, there isn't a restriction. So if you want to go down the left path, if you want to go down the right path, and kind of explore to some extent and be probing different areas, you can do that. My biggest fear with this game being, about 6 hours in length is I kind of wonder if it's going to be a thing that I consume in one sitting and then just, be wanting more. So, when you've got that kind of bond with the creature that you're playing with, like I had in Skyrim with my horse. The first time my horse died, I was literally tearing up because it was like this kind of connection. And I know it's a silly thing to say, but like when you're that much closer in proximity to the character through VR, I would love to have some additional time. And from what I understood from Eka, the platinum isn't super challenging. I'm not saying it's easy, but if it's achievable, I think it's a really good thing, because they said they designed the game in a way they want people to be able to play it through and complete it on average. So looking forward to
this game. So looking forward to this
You
one.
can see it in your face, Mike. I can see it in your face. Dude, you look so excited.
I think having companions in video games is one of the best things that exists out there, I would say. I mean, when I played Robinson the Journey with Higgs, for example.
Oh, yeah.
At the end, I'm like, hey, thanks, Higgs, for this great adventure, man. It's like I really feel like I'm talking to him. And, of course, my favorite game, BioShock, has a companion, too. You know, it's Elizabeth. So I think that companions is something that VR needs more of, for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. I just love the interaction between you, the character, and the Falcon as well. You know, like little fist bumps. You know, you can feed them, stroke them, and it feels like, you know, it is, you know, your Falcon. You know, and you get that attachment with them, and I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most. Alongside obviously Ghost Giant, which I mentioned earlier on, but it really seems like, you know, Sony again showing that they can really, like, you know, make VR shine, and they're really killing it. You know, they have been for a long time. Very excited for the future of PlayStation VR for sure.
And that's coming out of a team of 7 people. Like, you know what I mean? If you're a budding dev out there, make it happen, right? I mean, 16 months ago, that game wasn't but an idea. Crazy.
Yeah. Is that the last releases this week, Zim?
That was all 4, Mike. And back to you.
Cool. So let's get into some really, really, really juicy stuff. And that is, of course, the Valve Index. Like, this is crazy. And it's kind of a funny story, really, because we're all at PAX. Obviously, you know, we pre-recorded last week's show on Friday afternoon. You know, last day of the event, we thought we'll give you all, like, the Quest news, Rift S news, wrap it all up. We headed out to, like, a Facebook gaming party event. And as we arrived, like, the whole VR group that we were with, you know, everyone that basically was invited to PAX was going crazy, like literally losing their minds. And that is because the news had just dropped about the Valve Index. And then we were like, oh, you know, we've pre-recorded an hour-and-a-half show now, and we're not going to talk about it for another week. But of course, here we are now. Let's talk about it. We didn't get, obviously, all the information that we wanted out of this sort of announcement, but there's a few things we do know about this headset, a few things we can discuss, and then a few predictions we can also sort of throw into the ring as well. So if you're joining us in the chat live now, you know, you've got some predictions about this headset, put them in the chat, because we'd love to know what you guys and girls think, and maybe we can read a few of them out. So basically right now, there is a Steam page for the Valve Index. Of course, this is the first time that we've heard that this is going to be called the Valve Index as well. You know, there was a patent that was registered from Valve for the name Index, but we never knew what it was for. There was rumors that it could have been for the Knuckles controllers because of, like, index fingers and stuff like that. But it turns out, obviously, it's for the headset itself and the controllers. So the Steam page right now just shows the headset with a phrase that says, "Upgrade your experience, May 2019." So there was a full page that was kind of uploaded and then quickly taken down, which showed a bit more detail. And the sort of rumors out there right now suggest that you can pre-order this headset on the 1st of May, and it will start shipping around the 15th of June. And we'll talk more about that date in particular later on, because there's other things obviously going on around that date as well that we think is going to happen. But what we can see from the pictures is that the leaked images from November last year are absolutely real. You know, they were genuine headsets that were being developed at the time, which is really cool. But there's a few things, obviously, we still don't know, but we'll get into that in a bit. The Index controllers, or, you know, lovingly called the Knuckles, I don't think I'll ever stop calling them Knuckles controllers, because I think it's such a brilliant name for them. You know, they've been in development for years and years and years. We've known this, having developers on the show many years ago. You know, like the Cloudhead Games guys, they were having them such a long time ago. So it just seems likely that this headset was in development for that sort of period as well. But in terms of the image that they do show, the most striking thing about this headset, and one of my first sort of reactions when I saw it, is that this front plate of the headset itself has this kind of opaque, semi-see-through kind of front to it, where you can see through it and see this recess that's behind it, which was, you know, the prominent feature of the leaked images we saw from November. So this is one of the biggest questions, and, you know, again, join in the chat. But what do you guys think this recess behind this opaque glass or plastic front is?
That's where you're going to store a chocolate bar, so that in the middle of your session, when you're, like, getting a bit peckish, you're just going to down the Mars bar and you're good to go for another 2 hours.
It's a great idea.
That's nice.
The first guess a lot of people had when the pictures leaked in November was, hey, there could be a Leap motion in there. Although we all know that what you can do with the Leap right now is very limited. So
wasn't a USB
I'm not
port?
sure.
There was a USB port right in there, right against the side, I believe.
Yeah.
Was it USB 3.0?
Yes. Yeah. So other rumors out there that I've read that I thought were pretty decent rumors were that it could be like a wireless module. So maybe you could make the headset wireless. It would be a bit of a strange location to put it. It would normally be on top of your head, like a TP Cast or a Vive wireless module.
Yeah,
the other good one I
sense.
heard is like a little LCD screen that you can customize. So it could have like little eyes that animate, during you playing it, especially if you're recording yourself like we do. Or have scrolling text or sort of pop-up logos. I think that would be a pretty neat idea.
No, honestly, Mike, what if they were going to use the headset features to approximate what was happening behind the glass with your actual eyes? You know what I mean? If that's what you're talking about, that's actually a really interesting, unique selling point. So that someone outside the headset, you can look at them, and they can actually make eye contact with you through the headset.
Yeah, so we're not just these kind of faceless Borgs anymore. We might have these eyes because so many people customize their headset with googly eyes and stuff like that. Anyway, to have proper animated ones would be kind of interesting.
That would be awesome. Yeah. Or it's a smell module.
Smell module. Yeah. But I do feel like what Mike is saying here is that there could be something that you can modify in this headset, and the front could be that space where it's you go on the store of Steam and you're like, oh, what do I want to have in the front? Or you can switch things around. I do think that Steam does want their, for example, Steam logo lighting up somewhere, or I feel like there is something more that they kind of want to use, and as you said, maybe something LED in there could make things pop. I mean, we all know the Steam Machine. The Steam Machine is this computer kind of console thing. They have the Steam logo that glows purple. So it could be that they use that in some way. I don't know. But there is definitely space in the front to put something in there, and what that is, I don't know.
They've been teasing it though so much that I would be really surprised if it's just promotional material. If it's just the logo, I'd be super disappointed. I kind of get the feeling that, this whole concept of the Leap Motion thing, I mean, again, it's a Perspex panel or whatever it is, it's see-through. There's a reason for that engineering, right? And I wonder if it is going to be some kind of additional tieback for hand presence and to resolve a problem of bringing your hands close to your face. Maybe something like that against the competition. That could be another strong play.
Yeah, maybe.
And plus, we do know that the original Vive also had a see-through camera in there, in the middle, that you could use.
Yeah.
So maybe they will continue using that.
Yeah,
I want to hear from Headset Man. I really want to hear what Thomas is thinking here, because he's got it literally half warehouse of headsets behind him. What do you think this is going to be? What's going to fill that void?
I think it will be Leap Motion. Yeah. I think so. But otherwise, does it make sense? It already have 2 cameras and stuff, but I have no idea. Perhaps it's even for a little dongle for some other equipment, another additional Bluetooth dongle or whatever. It's very hard to say, but perhaps we will know on May 1st.
Yes.
So predictions in the chat. Rave Shock says maybe to connect a mobile device or something to make it a standalone headset. Could be. We also have someone saying it's a contactless pay, so you can pay your pizza delivery man without taking the headset off. Another one is a field of view slider, maybe one that with touch, so you're swiping around the volume and things like that,
My Mike has to change his IPD on the fly in any game. No, I don't want that much. More FOV, please. No, but I'm really so for people who don't know this technology, right? The ability to have your hands be the controllers is pretty nifty. And for anyone who's used it before, the original Leap Motion was very. What are you showing there? What is that?
This
Thomas?
is a Leap Motion module of the Pimax. This is how it looks.
Oh, right.
This is
I've never seen that.
This is put under the Pimax, and then you can use your hands as a controller. It's not very big, so perhaps it could be even a little bit smaller and fit in the in the Index. We don't know.
It's adding up now. It's definitely adding up. And if Hardware Dude is telling us this, I'm bought. It's a Leap Motion.
Someone in the chat is also saying an Intel RealSense could also fit in there. Or the recess is obviously a portal generator.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much speculation around it. I think this is one of the biggest mysteries around this headset. I'm super excited to find out what it is. But let's go over some other things that we do know about it, because we do know that it's got built-in earphones, like we know and love on the Rift. The cool things about these ones, they're going to be open back design, so you're going to get some real nice sound coming out of these puppies. I'm really happy that they went this way, because I was really disappointed that Rift S ditched the earphones. I think the audio is okay, but it's one of the weakest points of the headset, I would say, in my opinion. The headset itself, the head strap itself on the Index looks very similar to that of the Vive Pro, with a sort of ratchet system at the back to kind of tighten it up. It has a manual IPD slider on the bottom, which, and I think it's such an expert troll on their behalf, to really focus on the fact that this headset has manual IPD when Oculus have just removed it from the Rift S, and it got a lot of people upset about it. So to tease this picture, specifically showing the bottom of the headset with a manual IPD, I think is a really great move from them. You can also see on the bottom as well, it looks like it's got a button to adjust the lenses to and from your face, so you can accommodate glasses if you're a glasses wearer, which is another great little feature. Like Voodoo mentioned earlier on, it's got these two front-facing cameras on the bottom of the headset. Again, we don't know what these are going to be used for, whether they're going to be used for pass-through mode or some sort of hand tracking. I'm not sure. But I think it would be unlikely that it's going to be used for like Windows MR style tracking, because dotted around the headset, we can already see that it's got these lighthouse tracking diodes dotted around the headset, so it's clear that they're going to be using base stations technology to track this headset. So I don't think they'll be using it for tracking. What do you think, Voodoo, about that?
I also don't think that this will be possible to use the Windows Mixed Reality controllers, because the Rift S has 5 cameras and the tracking would be much better. I don't think that Valve is gonna go this way. No, I don't think so.
We also need to mention that Steam VR Lighthouse 2.0 is still around as well, that developers have been using, working with the Knuckles and, of course, now the Index. So these were also not just around for no reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I got a prediction.
Go on, Zim.
Sorry. Just in terms of that glass panel, the thing that's jumping out at me right now, I don't know if anyone remembers from N64 era, the expansion memory card. I'm not talking memory, but what I'm seeing here with this is some extra that doesn't come with the base headset that you can buy as an upgrade to help reduce the base price. You mentioned a kind of a wireless module, but I'm thinking, going along with what Voodoo is saying, some additional accessory that is going to expand the functionality of this headset, and that expandability of the headset is also going to give it additional shelf life. In other words, here's a module that today contains some engineered, electronics. 2 years from now, you'll be able to plug in something else that may upgrade it differently. And having an expansion port like that in such an important area could really change this headset from a buyer's perspective, because you're thinking, I can upgrade it in the same way I can a modular PC. So to me, all of a sudden, that just dawned on me that maybe the N64 expansion slot is what Valve have been thinking here.
Yeah, nice. Like, the rumors are also that, you're going to be able to buy this headset or controllers or base stations a la carte if you want it that way, or you're going to be able to buy it as a complete bundle. So, if you already have base stations because you've got a Vive already, you won't need to buy them again, maybe, unless you really want the 2.0 base stations.
So something else that I found interesting was they also, leaked. I don't think everything here is a leak. It's just, the marketing Valve goes for, because, they have always been using speculations to kind of hype up their products, and it's a smart way to do it. But they leaked this logo of theirs as well. I'm not sure if we have a picture that we can show, but you see a little head, like a person, looking into two I think, lenses, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly,
what people are saying, maybe Mike can explain it, that there's something going on with that.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're exactly right. So the logo is basically two semicircles and then a circle. So apparently the circle is there to represent your eyeball, and the semicircles are there to represent the lenses. And the rumor is that this uses stacked Fresnel lenses. So traditional headsets like the Rift and the Vive use a single Fresnel lens, and what they're doing with this is doubling them up. And I think what they're saying, or the rumor again, is that by stacking the Fresnel lenses, you can increase the field of view without having to widen the panels in a way. So like like the Pimax does it. It's the panels are arranged in a way that you can get this wide field of view. That's the rumor. I don't know how in reality that would work, but it sounds kind of like an interesting rumor.
But this would explain the design of the headset, because if you look at the front, it has a very strange design. Like all the headsets we have seen so far kind of line up with each other in some way, in terms of how the panel on the front looks like, the plastic part. But this one has such a strange, like slim, weird, I don't know. And it might be connected with how these lenses have been stacked up in there.
Yeah, because the rumor right now is that the field of view is going to be 135 degrees. Obviously, what we're used to is roughly 100 to 110.
No.
These specs, the rumors, is absolutely killing me. It is killing me because this sounds like a foundational leap. This sounds like HMD 2.0. And if it is that, and it's freaking selling in May, please take my kidney now. Okay, because I want this headset.
They're saying this is an upgrade. On their marketing, on the Steam page, they're saying, "Are you ready for an upgrade?" This is what they're saying it is. The rumored resolution is going to be similar to that of the Vive Pro, around 1600 by 1440 per eye. And I think it is very, very exciting. But I think the one thing that may hold this back, and it's the only one thing that I can think of, is going to be the price, because I don't think this headset's going to be cheap. And I think this is where a lot of people, when this was announced, were like, yeah, Rift S is dead. This is the headset to go for. Fair point. You're entitled to your opinions, of course. But I think what Rift S have done is aggressively price themselves in the market. They've done that from day one. But with this headset, and we know historically that Valve hardware hasn't exactly been cheap. And, I think my guess is it's going to be between $600 and $800 to buy this headset as a bundle. I don't know about you guys. What do you think about price?
Yeah, I think so as well. Like $499 for the headset only, and like $699 for the bundle.
Based on how they have been advertising this field of view slider, and they are pointing towards others like, listen, we're ready to compete, then they are also going to compete in price. Plus, Valve does have the space to do that as well. We know Facebook is very big, so they can sell a Quest and a Rift S for a very cheap price. Well, you can see, for example, HTC struggling with their, their own standalone, the Focus, that is priced at, what is it, like $700-800, and then people are saying like, what the price? It's ridiculous. But they don't realize that the Quest is getting sold for a price that they can, price, because they are such a big company, so they can sell it with a loss, right? And if we look at the products Steam sold before, the Steam Machine, the Steam Link, the Steam Controller, those were also very cheap. Of course, we're talking about very small products, but they were always in a very nice price range. And Valve wants to sell this headset. They want to jump into the arena now with all the other competitors. So I do think they know that price is a very crucial thing in the VR market right now.
Yeah.
And they are going to put this on the front page of Steam. There are like, 12-13 million people online every day on Steam. And I'm sure that they have all these statistics of how much people are willing to spend on a potential headset. So they have all this data of also people using the Rift, using the Samsung Odyssey. They know everything VR-wise of what people are doing, how much they spend, things like that.
But I think you've got to remember that with the indexes, they've developed these controllers from scratch. That you're going to need base stations as well, which is another expensive component you need to build because they've got intricate gyroscopes in there. I don't think there's any way they're going to be able to release this headset for $400 or $500 US.
But if it depends on who they want to target, of course. If they want to target the high-end market, then it makes sense. Then everything they have been building for the last few years have been built in mind with who they want to target. So they can't just suddenly drop down the price. So if it is the high-end market, then it makes sense. But on the other side, as you said, it's modifiable. So you could maybe buy a very shallow headset in some way, but then with this upgrade, it's way more expensive. We don't know how much it's gonna cost to put something in the front and what that's going to be.
So with the base model,
but think of it as a $200 module, right? Think of it as because you were talking about price here, right? Price point. I still think they're going to be on closer to $1,000 than anything else. I really think they're going to be pushing it, whether that's with or without this additional module. The thing is, where Vive succeeded last time with the HTC Vive, you actually had a price leader in the same way that Sony used to position themselves, or that Mercedes positions themselves in the automotive industry, where you say, we're the most expensive, and people have this kind of natural inclination that that's the best. And if it is a marriage of the two things, people will pony up. Now, 16-year-old gamer will be there, bleeding heart, saying there's no way I can afford this headset, but they'll still be pining for it, yearning for it, wanting it, and the same thing is true for the creator audience, right? I mean, these headsets aren't cheap. May looks like it's going to be very expensive for all of us, but this headset, if they drop it, forget the hardware. Drop one Valve game with this. Just one. Any single one of their IPs.
That's what I wanted to say as well. Yeah. If they ship it with Half-Life.
But before we go deeper down the rabbit hole, you need to know that Valve has this Apple level. So Apple sells these iPhones for years now. They're always super expensive, and people just buy them. And it's the same with Valve has this status of if they make a game, if they make hardware, a lot of people buy it. I don't know the numbers of how many Steam controllers they sold or Steam Links, but I'm sure a lot of people have them. And again, they have one of the biggest freaking gaming platforms on the planet, okay? I mean, as I said, there are 12, 30 million people online every day. Plus, they had the Vive. They learned a lot from that. They pulled in a lot of data, so they have definitely used that to learn from that. They let HTC do their thing, and they were learning along the way, working on their own stuff. And everyone, every month, is filling in the survey of, hey, how was my VR experience? What headset do I have? What computer do I own? So they also know in what range they had to build this headset, what specs it needs to run, and they have so much data to play around with. So I think they have been polishing this up to a standard that might bring us closer to the tipping point of VR going mainstream.
So you think this is at $399 for the whole bundle, and they sell it with a loss?
No. I think are we gonna do this again, or are we gonna? Sure. Okay, I'm gonna guess around maybe $650, $750. That price range,
Okay. What about you then, Zim?
You already know my answer because we've had this conversation offline, but I'm going to say it anyway. $899, and the reason I say that is because I think they are going to hit, because of manufacturing costs, because of what they're squeezing into this thing, the technology, all that's gone into it, the fact that they're manufacturing this, either with a partner or by themselves. I think that price point is still something with inflation that is where we've gone linear progression since. And then one other thing I wanted to show for our visual watchers is just where I think the market kind of is that I think Oculus have targeted the bottom of the pyramid, and that right now they're looking to price down, and they're also looking with things like asynchronous space warp and stuff, that they're looking to allow lower end users, and I mean that from a hardware perspective, to kind of play VR at a comfortable level. And they're spending a lot of time kind of cranking that screw downwards, which is obviously something that Rave, for instance, didn't like and decided to feck off. But the Vive, I think, is really going to the top end of the market. We've seen it in a few different places with the Vive Pro, with the McLaren headset. I really think that they're looking for medium to top tier. And with that, a price of 900 quid is not... going to be a
But
problem.
on the other side, you need to know that HTC is deciding the prices with the Pro and the Focus and those kind of things. And those prices come out of Asia, so it has nothing to do with Valve. Of course, Valve was involved with the Vive headset, but not with the Focus or all the other prices. We have clearly seen that HTC is slowly leaving the market of consumers. They are going into a different market of like business to business, arcades, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they are moving away right now. And it seems like, Valve wants to take up the place right now of, hey, listen, we're there for the high end. I hope Valve is focusing on medium and high end. But this is definitely not going to be cheap,
No.
I think that for like a headset for 500, for example, is quite expensive compared to everything we have nowadays, But for what you get, it might be a cheap price.
And this is the point that I want to get to, is that although I think, between $600 and $800 is going to be the retail price for this headset, I think it's going to be worth it. And the reason why is because of the games. We've always said this before, over and over again, like, content is king. And if Valve come out with these 3 Valve IP games that they've been developed, and they are like the games that we've been dreaming of and hoping of for all these years, Portal, Half-Life, Left 4 Dead, whatever they may be.
Left 4 Dead.
But, and the best way you're going to be able to play these games is with these index controllers, and it's really going to have like this integrated, interaction with the world with these controllers. To get the best experience, then this is going to sell like crazy.
I mean, if you look at Boneworks and the trailer they have put out, and spoiler alert, tomorrow they come up with a new video, I heard, so we're going to see more. But if you see that, and if that's the engine every game runs on, and the way it interacts with your fingers, that could already be a baseline of what people want, Valve is the only one now that is going to use the Knuckles, aka index controllers, as the main controllers now, and these are not lining up with what we had before. They are not similar to the Oculus Touch controllers, not the Vive ones, not the mixed reality controllers. This is a new level where you can use your actual fingers to play games. So it's going to be a different standard. They are going to build things from scratch with hand tracking in mind. So we're going to see something else, something new, and the way you then play your VR games is also going to be like magical in a new way, like discovering VR for the first time again, but with new, it's like just watching Boneworks makes me already excited for what this engine could be and what they pull off with that. It seems to be so original, and with those 3 games, yes, they might sell the headset, because I'm sure they are going to bundle these games with the headset, hopefully also in stores, of course. I mean, that's always very important to have. But the thing is, all the developers right now have been working with this headset for a while. Cloudhead Games was the one that spoilered this whole thing, where they didn't properly blur their image, although I do think that was also part of the marketing to kind of get people even more excited. Like, all these leaks we have seen over the past months have all been done by Valve themselves. Even that stream the guy from Zalubo was doing, Zalubo is like the guy who made the Moondust demo and also Vertigo. He was streaming, and then he accidentally leaked the fact that he was playing with the index, and you could see the render resolution and also the amount of hertz this headset was going to get. I mean, he's working close together with Valve, and Valve is like, laughing their asses off. Well, we are all like, oh, here's another leak. Oh, here we go. Like, that's their marketing campaign, and they have been doing it with so many things they have been releasing in the past. And I think it's a genius marketing campaign. And yeah, even with, throwing this, like, what company throws their Steam page on there of their product already and just gives some half information and then also confirm it, being like, well, it kind of, like, what you see here does kind of match with what we are going to release. Like, it's all built on hype, and we make this product successful right now by talking about it, by saying what we think it's going to be. But again, content is king. If they can pull it off with games, if they can pull it off with this engine, we still don't know what it's capable of. this is like the next level of VR, and if people tried it, they don't want to try any other headset. This is like serious competition for all the other headsets out there. Because let's be honest, the mixed reality headsets, the Oculus Rift, the HTC Vive, and some others, they were all kind of in the same area of like competing with each other. But the knuckle controllers, the index controllers, they might break that and say like, okay, listen, everyone wake up. We're going to the next station. We're going to the next level.
Yeah, and what I want to do is just going to loop it around to the beginning, because we mentioned about the date. Obviously the 1st of May is when potentially the store is going to open, so you can purchase this, shipping around the 15th of June. But obviously the rumor is, again, we still don't know for sure, the rumor is that the Rift S and the Quest are both going to launch Facebook F8, which takes place between the 30th of April and the 1st of May. So it would be super, super interesting if both the Rift S and the Valve Index go on sale at the same day, and just to see the dynamic between the community and what people tend to sort of gravitate towards is going to be very interesting indeed. I can't wait to sit on the sidelines to see what happens. But of course, I'm going to be ordering both.
Pre-order windows are so smart to go for, because you show everyone what it's capable of, what you can play on it, what you can experience. Then people have like maybe 2 weeks or longer, because you said like May 1st is like when they're going to do their announcement, and then they will also tell you how much it's going to be and until when you can pre-order it, because they said in June they're going to ship it. So that means that you have like a month to think about what is going to release soon. And all these developers that have been developing stuff as well, they might also finally speak out, because I'm sure that Valve wants to go for this storm of like people saying like, okay, you can play this, you can play that, and you can do this, because they're not just going to be like, here are our 3 games. No, here's our community that we work together with. This is what we made together, because it's a community thing. All these developers have been working on their own thing. So I think they're gonna go for this spree of games, like what Rift did, and Quest. Like, we have 50 games coming out. I think they're gonna go for something like that.
I don't know. Yeah, that heavy. I mean, the thing is, they've already got they're bringing with them a caboose of Steam library VR games, right? If all that works, and provided it's been tested and it runs smoothly, then we're good. But I wonder about this launch, right? With them launching together. The only thing I'm going to say, right, because it just struck me, Mike, when you were talking about the date maybe being the same for both headsets or very, very close. Something that I learned back with my DK2 and the CV1 pre-orders, and Voodoo's probably got 50 pre-orders or something that he's done. One of the things that I would say is if you're gonna purchase on the back of a credit card or like PayPal or something, I gotta say that like PayPal One Touch, where you get your address and stuff preloaded, ready to go, and you can check out faster. If you want to be first to the queue, it's a pro tip to load that stuff up, get it ready, have a page ready, or at very least have your address details and stuff like that ready for copy paste. I don't know how you guys do it, but those are the speed tips that I would give for anyone trying to get, beat the queue, be the first one as you're F5ing like mad, refreshing that website.
Yeah, like for me, the Quest and the Rift S are going to be a day one buy anyway. But for me, the Reverb was going to be my third headset that I was going to buy. I was all sort of set in my mind that the Reverb was going to be the one to buy, and then as soon as the Index news dropped, then that was cancelled, and it's going to be the Index alongside the other two. So yeah, it's going to be an expensive month, but I think it's going to be a super fun time for all of us.
Yeah, true.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So someone says, I'll keep my pre-order Index finger ready the whole day. Boom.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, let's move on then from the Index. We're all super excited about it, of course. As soon as we get more information about it, we'll of course share.
Well, it's weird that usually, and I think that's for every one of us, is that since we are running a YouTube channel and we have all these headsets out there, it becomes some kind of like political game where it's like, hey, like I'm sure you guys also get the same question where people are asking like, what is your favorite headset? Usually I'm not really going there because I'm like, it doesn't matter. We want VR to become mainstream, and every headset helps. If it's the Nintendo Labo, if it's a Pimax, a Quest, or the Index, it doesn't matter. Everyone is helping to create the hype, right? But for the first time when I was still in Boston with you guys, and I was at this Facebook gaming party, and that's where they announced it accidentally, and we were like, whoa, we were all super excited. It's like, it feels like no one is ashamed of being like this Valve kind of like fanboy. Even on the show floor of PAX, I spoke to a few people. I said like, "Hey, listen, did you hear about this headset coming out?" They were like, no one says it, but everyone is fan of Steam and Valve, but it's like this secret. Almost everyone is in some way. I think it's funny, Valve has been. Like, no one has ever been screwed over by Valve, I feel like. It's like everyone has this love for them. They don't lie to you. What they announce is what they announce. What they release is what they release. They don't screw around.
And plus, like, for many of us, like, we grew up, playing Half-Life, playing Portal. We grew up in a time where Steam didn't even exist. So like, having Steam and having this, one-stop shop for your gaming needs, it basically flipped the whole industry on its head. It almost killed physical retail games overnight. If it wasn't for consoles, I don't think, retail stores would exist for games anymore,
I remember when Steam was green. It was green and you had to walk a mile in the snow.
Yeah. No, I think everyone has a certain relationship with Steam, and also, your Steam profile, my profile and all the Steam games I have on there, and my friends I played titles with, is something that means a lot, Like, Steam really brought a lot of people together, and hopefully they will also do that in VR.
Yeah. I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. I'm super hyped for it, and I'm sure everyone in the chat is super hyped for it as well. But let's quickly round up the show then with our final topic and quickly talk about the Nintendo Labo VR, because we talked about this on a previous episode of the podcast. If you missed that episode, I'll quickly recap. Nintendo are basically releasing a series of VR Labo kits. Labo is basically cardboard kits that you have to build yourself. Loads of various different designs that basically incorporate the Joy-Cons and the Switch for unique and unusual gameplay experiences. Great for sort of playing with your kids and stuff like that. But they're going to be bringing a VR kit out, which was a big surprise. There'd been rumors about it in the past, but it was a surprise when the information dropped. And basically, you're going to be able to buy a VR starter kit, which includes the VR goggles and a blaster gun. This is going to be a base kit that's required for all the expansion sets, and it's going to cost around $40 US. There's also going to be 2 expansion sets, which have like a bird, like an elephant, like a wind pedal, some other crazy sort of contraptions, and they're going to be about $20 each. And we thought, that's really cool. The Nintendo are dipping their toes back into VR, and based on these kits, maybe if they were success financially, that Nintendo might bring some more VR stuff to the table. But it seems like they threw a blue shell at us. And really sort of stunned us all by saying, what, alongside these Labo kits, we're also putting an update to Mario Odyssey and Zelda Breath of the Wild, 2 of the biggest games on the Nintendo Switch, and they're going to be getting their own VR experiences. I was just like, holy crap, this is awesome. I own both of these games. Yeah, I finished both of these games. I love them. I adore them. And I'm so happy that they're going to get VR support. How did you guys feel about this news?
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm a big Nintendo fan as well, and I of course pre-ordered the full package of all of this stuff. And but I'm curious about playing like Zelda with this headset, because everything we saw from this headset, it has no head strap, and you hold it in front of your face. So how can you control the game with like this?
Maybe. That's my guess.
Oh my god!
Oh god!
I can't believe that I can play like this for 2 hours. Or what? It's a little bit strange.
Well, in case of Zelda, that's going to be an issue. In case of Mario Odyssey, if you look at it, it has like several mini games. So you play a mini game for 5 to 10 minutes, done, and then you stop. But with Zelda,
I
don't know. Like
that's
that's very strange indeed. But this is funny. Like every time Nintendo has been announcing something VR now with Labo, everyone's like, this is stupid and doesn't work, and why is this? And then like again, they're gonna come up with something where it's like, hey, you have this stand for your, I don't know, cardboard headset, and you can, like, they're not just gonna do this and be like, okay, yeah, you're just gonna hold it for that long. Like, all the mini games we have seen so far for Labo have all this certain amount of time that matches with how long kids can hold it.
Yeah.
You know, kids have like these spaghetti arms. I have also spaghetti arms. I can't hold it for that long. It's not going to happen.
Although you did do a pretty good job with the microphone back at PAX, I have to say.
Yeah, it's true.
You did a fantastic job. I was going to
Thank you for finally giving me props.
The reason I'm excited about this is maybe not even these titles. It is the fact that this opens a huge Pandora's box of all of Nintendo's back catalog, things like Super Smash Brothers or Pikmin, all these different games, Pokemon-related games. When are they going to say, are they going to say now, oh, that's off limits, that could not be VR-ified? They've just converted two of the biggest titles, for Labo. I mean, that's great. This is something I've been wishing for a couple of years. Now, there's people on the other side of the fence saying it's a low-resolution headset. To them, I say, do you really think that impassioned hundreds of thousands of developers out there aren't going to be able to crack this and bring it to PC somehow? That's going to happen. I am convinced that's going to happen because every other emulator under the sun has brought, console games across. So just wait for them to kind of break the code or whatever of Enigma and get into this. But in the interim, Nintendo has delivered quality consistently, and I think that's Nathie, what you were saying is essentially don't expect that they haven't got an answer to this like head strap and tracking thing.
No, I think
that's right.
We just don't know what it is yet.
For the developers out there who are going to do something PC wise, just be sure you do this on an anonymous address, because Nintendo has been taking down a lot of stuff before, fan made things, and so we'll see. But I'm so happy because Nintendo is a master in making third-person titles, and I have always been defending third-person titles in VR. Well, people say like, why does this need to be in VR? Why doesn't it work? This doesn't make people usually don't understand why third-person is such a beautiful thing in VR. Edge of Nowhere, Lucky Still, Moss. I could go on forever.
Hellblade.
Hellblade, exactly.
Hellblade's so good.
Yeah, I mean, Hellblade is the same story. They add this camera to it, and then you can play with the character. And they did the same with Mario Odyssey and Zelda. So, yeah, I think it's awesome, and kids will love it. It's like when I was back in school, we made these shoe boxes, and you could like make your own world inside, and then you look through it. You peek through it, and you're like, whoa, this is awesome. That's the same with Nintendo. When I built this shoebox, I could barely see in there and could see what I was playing. But it was still super immersive, and it's the same with this Nintendo stuff.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They're going to open eyes. They're going to transform absolutely masses of youth into this whole concept. People who haven't been introduced to it. And the other thing that I love about Nintendo is they're reducing the age barrier that the other companies have set. And I really have an issue with this, because I might have told this sob story before, but like putting my daughter into a social experience on a day when she's not meeting any of her friends and she wants to just go talk to some people, and they're like, sorry, I can tell she's not 13, delete your account. And I'm like, you know what? There's absolutely no solution right now for a kid to, experience something like that and not get kind of shamed for it. And to be honest, if I've grilled my eyes and brain in VR for the last 5 years and I have no symptoms, I'm totally comfortable with putting my kids in it. There you go.
Yeah, so like the official spin from Nintendo in terms of what is going to be available in these two experiences, starting off with Mario Odyssey. Apparently you're going to experience small areas of the Cap, Seaside, and Luncheon Kingdoms in a whole new way with the Toy-Con VR goggles. Players must collect music tones and coins to complete objectives in 3 new mini-missions. In Zelda, you'll be able to enjoy this epic adventure like never before, change modes at any time whilst adventuring to explore your favorite places with VR. Both games will receive the free update on the 26th of April to be compatible with the VR goggles.
It works with existing save games. It works with existing save games for Zelda. That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah.
I feel like with Zelda we're going to see a VR part like in Hellblade, where it's just, you can be in VR and you can play it that way. But with this Mario Odyssey stuff, since it has built from the ground up mini games, that you will have a certain interaction with Mario that makes this VR mode even more fun, where it maybe throws stuff at you, or because what Nintendo does so well is like you getting this connection with characters when you play with them. And I think with VR, they have certain ideas that we haven't seen come to the screen before. Where it's same with Moss, where Quill is like sometimes looking at you or waving at you, or things like that. We'll see. But Nintendo is definitely going to help the VR market so much in ways we haven't seen before. And again, it's so beautiful to see kids being able to build their own headset with their parents or alone or whatever, or kids at heart in our case. And just then play whatever you want to play. I think it's great. Hopefully you don't have to buy a glue bottle to keep the headset on your face. Yeah. But I'm sure they are coming up with some kind of Virtual Boy construction that might work. I don't know. We'll see.
Absolutely. Yeah. Super hyped for that as well. Really looking forward to seeing how it all plays out with the Nintendo Labo VR stuff. But let us know if you've got any questions in the comments down below, and then we can sort of wrap up the show. We have been going on a little bit longer than usual, but we had so much
to catch up with.
Yeah, exactly. The index is like a bombshell. Whenever we talk about Valve, we just get drawn into this long-winded conversation where we just can't help ourselves. But just a reminder, this is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. Tune into the show live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, 12 midday in Central US. Also, check out the audio version available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Anchor. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and leave us a nice review on iTunes.
Yes.
Thanks again to Voodoo as well for joining us again this week.
Anytime again.
Always awesome to have you on. Rowdy will be back next week, I think. And hopefully by next week my internet would have been fixed so I can talk to you guys normally like I normally do.
Also, slam a like on this video. Let's let you know you care. Would be nice.
Absolutely.
Us know.
I got a simple question for our guest Voodoo before we take any from chat, which is, where the heck is Microsoft in all of this in terms of the Xbox and being what seems to be way behind the pack? What's your take on that? Like, why are they not dipping into VR?
I think they expected more from the Windows Mixed Reality headset. So we've seen low numbers in the Steam VR statistics, but today I've seen that they were over the 10%. On Steam, so it's getting more. Getting more. But I think Microsoft is it's going for AR stuff now. They are focused on their HoloLens stuff, and I don't think there will be some Microsoft stuff in the next 2 years, if you ask me. So
it's interesting because I've always historically preferred Microsoft over like PlayStation, and it was only really like I've had PlayStations now and then, and I picked up a PlayStation 4 and then I didn't have one for a while, and then I picked one up again when I got the PSVR. But I have to say, like, PlayStation are dominating not only just the PSVR, but it seems like the console market in general right now. And Microsoft doesn't really seem to be competing that hard, like especially with exclusive titles and other features. So I don't know.
They have been struggling for a while now.
Yeah.
But they have some time because, as we all know, PlayStation will not announce anything at E3 this year, but next year. So usually they go toe to toe with new hardware releases. So yeah, we'll see. As Voodoo said, they're just seeing what's going on in the market with mixed reality. I'm still surprised with that because mixed reality, it's such a all these headsets, they're super nice. The Samsung Odyssey cool. And the HP and the Acer, they're all so cheap and they work and they do the trick. So yeah, but it's growing, as you said. Patience is key, they say.
Yeah. Any questions from the chat? Any sort of burning things that people want to know, maybe about us or about the VR industry in general, especially as we've got like a Voodoo in the house with his crazy collection of headsets in the background.
Well, first of all, a lot of people are thanking us for all the news, so that's great to hear. Thank you for listening and thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. It's a shared appreciation we have here. Someone is asking something super specific, but maybe we can dive into this. So Loto is saying, what do you think Oculus was thinking when they chose to put an integrated audio when everyone knows how noisy the GPU fans can be?
Oh, like I guess he's talking about like
for the S,
like the Rift S, or is he talking about the Quest?
I think he's talking
That'd
about
be the Rift S, because yeah, what he's saying is, so if you're a PC builder, right, and you're maxing out your machine, unlike Mike's beautiful silent PC, a lot of gamers have a PC that makes quite a bit of noise, and if you don't have like a proper pair of cans covering your ears, you know, this background noise is going to be a real pain in the ass.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That is a very legit point he's making. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
yet.
I think,
very legitimate.
I think Oculus really missed the mark with the audio department on the Rift S. You know, I'm really disappointed to see the built-in earphones go. I really love them. You know, I have them on every single headset now. I bought some for the Mantis headphones for the PSVR. You know, I bought the deluxe audio strap for the Pimax. Because I just can't live without that now, and that's a real shame with the Rift S. There is some rumor that Oculus are going to be working on some sort of accessory or some sort of upgrade that you can fix that, but I don't know.
I think you could buy also attachments for your Oculus Rift, your original one, because you tested it out back in the days, right?
Yeah, you could, but they mount it in the exact same way as the original ones. So because you don't have that mounting mechanism there, they'll have to do something like what the PSVR Mantis headphones do, and they basically clip onto the top. If I show you very quickly on the camera. So this is the PSVR. This is a third-party accessory. But basically, you can got these little hooks on that basically clip over the rigid head strap, and then it has drop-down earphones. So maybe they could develop something like that as an upgrade. But yeah, fingers crossed. Anyway,
I can also confirm that these Mantis are working with the HP and Lenovo Explorer as well. I put them on all of them, so perhaps it will even work with the Rift S.
Yeah, they will.
I will try this.
Yeah, they will absolutely work, like you said, because it just uses a 3.5mm headphone jack. So you could go out and buy them. They're available now on Amazon, about 50 quid.
I think like onboard audio is great when you're taking it on the go, but they are just not noise reducing at all. They just, and also when you put them on the loudest, other people can enjoy what you're playing. So yeah, I don't know, maybe. I don't know what they were thinking in that sense of, like, just give it as an option to get rid of them.
Part of this decision must have also come as all the positive feedback they got from the Go. Because the Go released, one of the things that stood out in reviews and our own comments was, hey, the audio solution is like magic. And now they're like, oh, well, we'll just port this over to the S and it'll be perfect. But I love this comment. I didn't consider this. I tend to build quiet PCs for myself, but there is a majority of gamers who's going to care about this, and I think it's a very important point. And for somebody who has used that extra cable and external audio over his Rift, I took mine off ages ago. It's that extra hassle. It's that extra cable. You know, are people going to want that? Probably not. And actually, Mike, I think most of the world is going to agree with you and say, wrong decision. But they have to lie in their bed now.
Yeah, I think the expectations of what a PCVR headset can deliver are different from what a mobile or standalone headset can deliver. You know, you can understand the sacrifices with mobile and standalone because the idea is it's very quick and accessible. You can swap it between different users quickly, and we're happy with that. I don't have an issue with that at all. When it comes to PC, though, you know, you're more than likely going to be spending, you know, many hours in a PCVR headset for longer periods of time, and I think you want the best possible immersive experience you can, and you can only get that with true, really high quality audio, as well as the visuals.
Well, again, you know, this was a collaboration between Lenovo, so it could be that this was the blueprint, this is what they could buy, and they were not allowed to modify it, or the other way around. So I think both of these parties had to come together to, you know, sell this headset, and this is what it is. This is what we're getting. So
yeah. For the price, you know, when we find out eventually how much the Index is going to cost, I think you'll start to really notice, you know, this is what they're going for. Like you said, Nathie, the low end market, or, you know, and Zim. So yeah, but nevertheless, exciting times ahead. Unless we've got any other questions, we'll wrap this one up. Any other sort of burning ones out there?
Well, someone is asking if you can cast the Quest, so show what you are seeing in game, and yes, you will be able to do that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the idea is that it will be the same functionality as the Go, so you'll be able to cast to your mobile phone or tablet. We're not sure about TVs just yet, but that's been rumored. And if you want to record or stream content, you can do that directly from the headset itself. But of course, you can only stream directly to your own personal Facebook page right now. Although, again, we've talked to Oculus about this, and hopefully they can add more services in the future.
Yeah. So again, if you want to, like, for the people that are watching right now, if you want to know more about the Rift S and the Quest, go back to the previous episode, because we went really in depth of why you should buy it or why you shouldn't buy these headsets. So go check it out, because I still think it's super relevant.
Yeah, and it was really nicely recorded on the show floor as well.
That was lovely. I was gonna say, I love the top comment on that video as well, which was like, "Oh, Vive Index just launched. Maybe this will change their opinions." And I think so far the opinion I've gotten from this round table is very simple. It's, we're gonna buy all 3 headsets. So I'm sorry if that wasn't the answer you're looking for, but feck it, we are deep into this VR thing.
Well, basically, we're buying all these headsets so we can tell you what headset would be the best one for you based on what you are interested in.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's not like we are like, oh, we need to buy them all because we need to try them all for a personal, like, no, it's to broaden our knowledge of what VR is and what's best.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
If I was just buying this just for me, I'd still buy all 3.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they all serve different purposes.
Zim's basically sold one of his children so we could buy it.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, well, I have other stuff to pay as well, but okay, sure.
But anyway, so we've gone on for long enough, almost over 2 hours, I think now. So we're going to wrap the show up. We hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for joining us live. Apologies for the slight delay in the start and the issue with my webcam. We'll get it all sorted next week. Hope you have a great week in VR. We'll be back next week with the freshest news for you. So tune in then. Until then, bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Yeah, guys.